Yo, what's good, you fierce warriors? Hey, how are you? Welcome. Hey, what's going on? What about you up there? Welcome to Sober Psychology. This is the podcast where we don't just skim the surface of your mental mess. We dive in head first. We drag out the ugly truths and we slap them across your face with a side of dark humor. I'm Michael, your host, a psychologist in training, a sober dad, and a guy who's seen enough family drama to know that helping your addicted loved one often means that you're just polishing the handcuffs, keeping them chained to their own vice. Today, we're ripping into enabling. It's that sneaky, well-intentioned BS where you, quote-unquote, support bad behavior, especially in alcoholics and addicts, but really, it's just you playing God while they play victim. If you're the mom bailing out your drunk kid for the umpteenth time or the spouse covering up hubby's hangovers, this episode's gonna sting like a sobriety slap. Here's the hard truth behind all of this. Enabling isn't love. It's a coward's crutch that lets the addicts keep destroying themselves and you along with them. By the end of this, you'll get what enabling really is, why your brain tricks you into doing it, and the devastating effects on everyone involved, and even how to stop before you become the villain in their recovery story. Expect raw rants, psychological deep dives, and laughs so dark that they'll make your therapist blush, probably. Because sugarcoating enabling is like handing a loaded gun to a toddler and calling it playtime, I guess. So let's go ahead and expose this crap and hopefully save some lives. Welcome to the show where we break down the mental health stigma, navigate sobriety with humor, and prove that it's okay to laugh while you heal. Let's get real, let's get honest, and maybe a little weird. Growth is messy, but you don't have to do it alone. This is Sober Psychology. Well, welcome back, you beautiful people. This is episode 45. We are clicking along. We've had a little bit of a dip in YouTube recently because we did like journaling. That didn't have a lot of traction, which again, I knew that was going to happen. That's kind of a filler episode, but myself and the team, which consists of me, so it's just me and one of my other personalities. We're working to kind of fine tune some things on the channel. So expect in the next 10, 15 episodes, we'll have some changes coming to the channel, but as always, I appreciate you guys for being here. I appreciate all of you who comment and like and subscribe and share and all of that good stuff, which brings me to the next point. If you wouldn't mind, while you're here, go ahead and like the video. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and comment. Go ahead and share this with somebody else. It would be very helpful for me and my team, which consists of me. So anyways, moving on. We're talking about enabling, and if you are someone who is an addict alcoholic, you have been a taker in this situation. You've probably had a lot of people enable you. If you are someone who's related to or friends with addicts, alcoholics, you've probably enabled as well. And even outside of the realm of addiction recovery, enabling also goes for poor behavior, okay? So we'll come over here and say it. If you are, or just cameras everywhere, if you're enabling, all you're doing is helping them dig their grave. Okay, I don't know how else to say that, but as someone who has been really on both sides of it, I have been the one who has been enabled. I've also been the one who has unfortunately enabled other people. It is difficult because there is that fine line between being human and caring for somebody and then enabling, right? So we're going to talk about that a little bit. As always, the structure of this channel, we're going to explain what enabling is. We're going to explain how it shows up and some different ways that it kind of appears, and then do a psychological deep dive on it. And then we're going to give you some solutions, some ways to maybe pay attention to and stop enabling so much, and hopefully save the lives of those that you are enabling, right? Section 1 of this, what the hell is enabling anyways? All right. Enabling, it's not help. It's handing your addict a shovel to dig their grave even deeper. Okay, so just go ahead and wake up, all of you enablers. I'm talking to myself as well. We're going to dive into this. We're going to kick this off with the basics, because if you're enabling, you probably don't even know it, and your brain is too busy patting itself on the back for being supportive. Right? Enabling is any behavior that shields someone from the full consequences of their actions, making it much easier for them to keep screwing up. In addiction land, it's covering for your alcoholic spouse's absences at work. It's buying drugs for your kids so they don't get ripped off, or it's even pretending that everything's fine while they puke in the toilet at 3 a.m. Pop psychology calls this rescuing. Bullshit. But I'm going to call it what it actually is. It's a toxic tango where you're the dance partner keeping the addict from spinning out of control. Okay. And from a psychological perspective, enabling ties into codependency. And I don't know, I think we have an episode coming up on codependency, but this was a term that was popularized by Melody Beattie, I think. And she had a book called Codependent No More. And codependency it's basically that messed up dynamic where your self-worth hinges on fixing the addict. It's an ego, messiah complex, altruistic kind of thing, right? There was a 2004 study in the Journal of Substance Abuse Treatment that looked at enabling and alcoholic dependent couples and found that non-alcoholic partners often enabled through avoidance, like ignoring the drinking cues or making excuses, which delays recovery exponentially. And then Al-Anon, which is the sister program to AA, completely nails this. Enabling is protecting others from their own messes. You want some examples? I've got some examples. You could pay their rent after they blew it all on booze. That's enabling. Lying to their boss and why they're sick. That's enabling. Even the emotional stuff, like tolerating their rages without boundaries, right? Enabling is like being the getaway driver in your loved one's crime spree against sobriety. You think that you're helping, but you're just ensuring that they hit rock bottom even slower with you in the passenger seat, right? You know, you think that you're helping the addict. Nah, you're just the clown car in their circus of chaos. And that's enabling, dummy. Enabling is tough. I think Al-Anon is incredible for this, but enabling is tough for mothers, right? I know that my mom bailed me out of jail multiple times. And every time her oldest boy would call her on the phone crying, oh, I don't have enough money to pay this bill, yada, yada. I'm real close, but I got ripped off by make up some lie. And she'd just feed me $50 here, $60 there. And what did I do with it? I didn't pay bills. I went right into drinking. It was gone within the hour. It's a very tough line. And my heart breaks for especially mothers, but family members that care about other family members. And, you know, if your kid is an addict alcoholic and they're struggling, they're going through a time, in your mind, you know that they have so much more potential. You want to help them reach that potential. That's what a parent does, right? But also, you want to love and care for them. That's our duty as parents, right? My job is to help you, is to provide for you, is to do whatever I can to help you get on the right track. And that's the tough part, because sometimes continuing to love them in a way that provides for them is just helping them stay sick longer. And it's so tough to see mothers break over this, to see parents in general break over this, siblings even. And it's a difficult process. I think we do this also in social dynamics. You've got friends that are assholes, or they have terrible character flaws, and they cause a lot of harm everywhere they go. And instead of being a good enough friend to say, hey, I care more about you being healthy than I do about you liking me, we go into this codependent mindset of like, oh, okay, well, I'll just say whatever I need to say. They can continue being, that's just the way they are. It's fine. Whereas what we should do, and this goes for everybody that you have a relationship with, period, we should go to them, and you could do it in a loving way of being like, hey, you're being an ass, and that's not okay. And I think you need to start doing some things to pay attention to that and start working on not doing this action anymore. We won't do that, right? We'll pretend that everything is okay. And that is a sick place to be in, right? That's what you see with like toxic family dynamics. A lot of toxic family dynamics will cater to the sickest person, where they pretend that everything is okay. They pretend that everything is fine. They'll never say anything to contradict that person, to help them correct. Self can't see self. We need people. I have good people in my life that if I start acting up, I start being a fool, they're going to look at me and be like, hey, dummy, like, what are you doing? You got to fix this right now. You're better than this. And those are the people I love. They care more about my overall health and well-being and being on the right path than they do about us being friendly and happy and pretending that everything is okay, right? Section 2, this is going to be the psychology behind why we enable, okay? And this is a tough one, trust me. So why do smart people like you keep enabling? Your brain is a sneaky bastard, which is wired for survival, not sense. Okay, we've talked about that almost every episode since we started this podcast. Psychologically, enabling stems from fear. It's fear of conflict, fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of watching them crash, whatever. It's a fear-based thing, right? There was I think it's called A Very Well Mind article, and it breaks it down pretty well. Enablers are motivated by guilt, love, or denial, pretending that the problem isn't that bad. It's classic avoidance coping, where you dodge pain short term, but you amplify it long term. And codependency plays a huge part in all of this. Studies link it to enabling all the time. This is where enablers derive their identity from helping. All right, there's a 2017 blog from Life Skills South Florida that notes that common enablers give money, they make excuses, or they bail out addicts, which is just all you're doing is feeding the cycle. And I know that's tough because you think that you're helping, but this codependency is fueled by this altruistic messiah complex. I'm helping. Helping feels good. That's why I sign off every episode with go help somebody. However, you have to find this line. You have to almost go against your human nature in this situation to say, okay, I'm not going to help you anymore because I want you to get better. And that's why I will always talk about how addiction is the sickest. It's one of the sickest diseases out there, right? Because it just rots. It's corrosive. It rots the family dynamic from the inside out, and it hurts everybody around it, right? So pop psychology, you could think of like attachment theory in this situation, I guess. If you're anxiously attached, you'll enable in order to keep the bond, even if it's toxic, right? There are a lot of bad relationships out there, right? If you are anxiously attached to someone, and you can go look at how your attachment style is, you will enable in order to keep the bond with somebody, all right? And it's hurting you, it's hurting them, it's hurting everybody around you. There's a 2019 Healthline piece that says that enablers allow self-destructive patterns to continue, which is often from low self-esteem or trauma, okay? You see this in movies a lot too, and I'm sure you've experienced it in your own life, but you have these, I'll go ahead and use women for the example of this, but you have women that unfortunately in their childhood at some point they were abused. They had like a mean father, they had a mean mother, something like that. They will tend to go for the bad boys, the boys that will treat them poorly and treat them like crap, and they'll enable them. Or it's this low ego, this low self-esteem. Like my ex-wife was this way. I was abusive. I was abusive verbally, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, physically, and she would keep me around because she didn't think that she would find anybody better, right? And that's just an ego thing. If she had that confidence coming into it at the beginning, and I started acting a fool like I would have been dropped like a hot rock. Let me tell you. I mean, because that's just kind of what you have to get to, and that's a tough spot to be in. Because even you look at that dynamic, right? With married couples, you don't want to get a divorce. And most Christian couples, you know, I'm speaking for Christians because of that being my faith, we don't believe in divorce. But how much are you willing to put up with someone constantly cheating on you, constantly being abusive, constantly lying to you, like, and you just keep enabling that behavior because you have this anxious attachment style? That's a tough spot to be in, right? In addiction families, this is very generational. Mom enabled dad, and now you enable your sibling, and or mom's enabling you, whatever. And Al-Anon calls this the enabling dilemma, which is basically where you're afraid to love without enabling. And the hard truth of all of this is you're not a hero, you're hooked on the drama. There's a 1999 Taylor and Francis review that contrasts enabling and codependency, which was noting that partners enable in order to maintain control. Think about that. Partners will enable in order to maintain control. So stop kidding yourself. Enabling feels good because it avoids the real work, which is letting them face the music, okay? So why enable? It's because facing your own crap is scarier than mopping up theirs. You just grow up, you codependent, beautiful human being. Section 3, the devastating effects of enabling. Okay, now this may be the gut punch. Okay, enabling doesn't help, it harms. For the addict, it removes consequences. It delays that rock bottom that most of us addicts and alcoholics have to get to in order to be able to start getting the help that we need. WebMD says that enabling contributes to continued addiction by shielding them from reality. All right, there's a 2025 English Mountain Post that explains that enabling makes harmful behavior easier, blocking recovery. Okay, it makes harmful behavior easier. And studies show that enabled addicts have higher relapse rates because they never learn accountability. All right, and then for you, the enabler, burnout, resentment, depression. Okay, there's a PMC study that flips it, and it talks about how recovery supports engaged relationships without enabling, right? So building capital basically for those in need. And enabling erodes your mental health. Codependents constantly report higher anxiety, according to a 2019 family intervention blog. But you're like a human shield in a war against sobriety. You know, guess who gets shot first? It's that shield, right? And this is a very difficult spot to be in. Like my mom, by her nature, because she is a gift giver, right? She's someone who, she doesn't want to deal with the emotions. She just wants to fix the problem. And my whole life, mine and my siblings, it's always, we were just given stuff nonstop. And that's good to a certain point with, you know, food, with, you know, housing, with things that, you know, come to expect for survival purposes. But when you have someone that's constantly trying to solve your own problems, what do you ever learn? You rob them of that ability to learn from their mistakes, okay? And then relationally, this breeds toxicity. Addicts manipulate, and then enablers end up resenting them for it, right? Al-Anon constantly warns that enabling prolongs the suffering for all. There's a 2024 Resurgence piece that says that it delays help seeking. Bottom line, enabling kills recovery dreams and turns love into prison. Enabling kills, how did I just say that? Enabling kills recovery dreams and turns love into a prison. All right. And that's pretty much sums it up, right? Enabling, I don't know, you burn out, they stay high, and then congratulations, you're the architect of mutual destruction. Okay. That's just how it ends up being. And again, guys, this is so freaking tough for anybody who just wants to love somebody. You want to care for somebody, and you don't even see yourself as enabling. You just see yourself as loving them. And that's why, you know, things like Al-Anon is so important for family members and friends of addicts, alcoholics, because you don't realize how much damage you're doing to yourself when you're enabling somebody. Like, I could probably guarantee you that the first night that I was in rehab, my mom probably slept better than she had for a long time, because I'm out on the streets. I'm getting put in jail constantly. I'm hurting people left and right. Like, it's just this constant chaos. And she was just trying to help from a distance. All right. So what happens when someone else is taking care of me? You know, like, now she can breathe, but you don't realize how tight that hold is on you until you no longer have to enable, right? It's tough. It's difficult. I don't envy mothers, especially in this situation, or parents in general. I'm terrified of my kid growing up and being an alcoholic like me. That's one of my big fears. And I hope to God that through raising him for years and making him aware, I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm an alcoholic. When he gets to the age to understand it, we don't hide it in this household. You know, we don't keep secrets. And, but I know already, with the love that I feel for him, if he's in trouble, I'm going to go to the rescue. But like, how do you set that boundary? It's so tough. It's so tough. So section 4, how to stop enabling and start helping for real. Here's your solution. Okay. This is time to flip the script. Stopping enabling is very tough, but it's tough love 101. First off, recognize your problems, journal them, you know, per AA's inventory style. You can go look at step 4, learn how to inventory, learn how to journal. You can find the accountability partners. Like, just get to the point where you're recognizing your patterns in this. You need high accountability in this aspect, right? You need people who have been through it. You need people who are aware of it. Talk to a therapist, whatever you need to do, but get to the point where you're aware of your patterns as far as enabling is concerned. Okay. And then 2, set boundaries. No more bailouts. The American Addiction Centers advises identifying enablers and assisting recovery instead. You can join Al-Anon for support. It's basically enabling detox for families, okay? This was the cutting point for me. I never stopped what I was doing. And I told you guys last episode, when I got my DWI, it's the first time I'd ever been in jail, first time I had anything on my record. And within 24 hours of being released from jail for making bail, my mommy bailed me out. I then immediately went and got more alcohol. And then when I got in jail again for the assault charge, same thing. I got out of jail. While I'm in jail sobering up, I'm done with this. I'm never going to drink again. I'm going to stop doing this. I mean, immediately, right back to it. Okay. So you got to stop doing these bailouts. And I know that's tough because you don't want your kid to be in jail. You don't want your friend to be in jail or spouse or whatever. But sometimes that's the pop on the nose that needs to happen. When I went to jail for that last time, I called, of course, first phone call is mommy, please bail me out. I need to get out of here. And it was scary that last time because I'm in there with murderers. I'm in there with like the worst of the worst. It had just gotten worse and worse and worse every time I went to jail. But that last time, she let me sit. I sat in there for 3 days, 4 nights, or 2 days, 3 nights, something like that. And she said, I will bail you out this last time, but you will go to rehab. And sure enough, she picked me up at 11:30 at night, sitting there getting out of jail. And we drove 5 hours to rehab. And that was it. I mean, that's what it takes. Finally putting your foot down, because I knew that all I have to do is call mommy, and I could cry. I could say, okay, it's all going to be different this time, because in my mind, I wanted it to be. I really wanted it to be different. But all it took was playing on her emotions as a manipulator, as someone who was just sick in the head, to be able to get that little bit of help so I could go right back to doing exactly what I was doing. It's just chaos. You stay in the same pattern, right? Psychological tools for this, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Use that to challenge the helping thoughts, right? There's a 2019 study in the International Journal of Preventative Medicine on enabling factors for change, which emphasizes support without rescue, okay? Detach. This is another one. Detach with love. You can absolutely still love the person that you've been enabling. You can love them, but you can hate the addiction. Find your boundary, right? Then you can have the family intervention, which says to stop enabling by letting consequences hit. You know, basically all of these are doing is just, you have to just stop this behavior of picking them up from the fall that they're creating for themselves. You're going to eventually drag yourself down. You have to let them fall. You have to let them figure it out. Okay. If they rage or they relapse, that's on them. That's not your fault for stopping the enabling train. Okay. That's what needs to happen. At rock bottom, that's the hardest part to realize for addicts, alcoholics, is you have to let them hit the bottom. You have to let them get to the lowest point. Then you get them the help, because they're not gonna get the help if you keep feeding them money, if you keep bailing them out, if you keep doing. I mean, that's the sick part of this disease. Okay. So here is your homework. List 3 enabling acts, and then replace those acts with boundaries that you're now going to set. It hurts, but so does watching them die slowly, I promise you. And then moving forward, stop enabling, set boundaries, or watch them drown. I mean, tough love saves lives. That's just the reality of it. Enabling is a thief disguised as a friend. It steals recovery from addicts and sanity from you. We've unpacked its definition, the psychology behind it, the damages that it does, and we've given you the fixes. Okay, this is backed by studies and real talk. You're not bad for enabling, you're just human. But staying there, that's choosing chains over freedom, okay? Spot one enabling habit today. Smash it. Reach Al-Anon, therapy, or comments below. Whatever I can do to help, I'll be there for you, okay? As always, thank you for tuning in to Sober Psychology. Like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, keep your head up, keep your heart open, and go help somebody. Love you guys.